So I would hope that people who see this realize that she was a tremendously good gal, not what some people have portrayed her. She was just a sweet person.
Jim returned to Hollywood to retrace those long ago years. To get him in the proper spirit, we traded in his airport rental car for a 1940 Ford Coupe, just like the one he owned when he drove the girls crazy at Van Nuys High.
We're approaching Van Nuys High School now, and this is the school that I graduated from, and Norma Jean went to with B.B. Goddard, and Jane Russell went to this school also. I haven't seen Jane Russell since, I think it was around 1944. I haven't seen Robert Mitchum since 1942, 43, something like that.
I have never heard one woman who ever worked with Marilyn ever say one cross or derogatory word about her. And that in itself is monumental. Have you? Never.
She had just a tremendous amount of sympathy and empathy and feeling for people, situations, and she was always a little unhappy and mad at the big boys, you know.
Never a hairdresser, never a wardrobe woman, or never. You never heard, or a woman with whom she was working, you have never heard one woman say a cross word about her.
She was certainly not your dumb blonde at all. She was a very bright, sensitive girl.
The crew loved her, honest to God. She was a darling to the crew.
She had a lot of empathy and understanding, and she had a fey sense of humor, which was really very cute. And they all adored her.
For her loyalty, she was immensely loyal, to a fault, really, to her friends, to anyone she knew. She had great sympathies for people. She was really as straight and decent as you could want. You know, she was a very humorous girl. Actually, one of the funniest girls on The Natural that I've ever met, really. Funny girl she was, really. And, but she tried very hard, and she felt inadequate, truly, you know. She had physical problems, and which certainly didn't encourage her confidence, you know, did not build her confidence. But she was one of the most honest, loyal, earnest people that I've ever met, and generous to a fault, you know.
She did have a chip on her shoulder about it. And it's too bad. If she could have dropped that, she might not have had to fight so hard.
Well, I was her friend, and Jane was her friend. Very, very good friends. You know, she became like a family friend, really.
Yeah, that's old Curly. That's the gal I married. Hollywood is really a town of magic, where people can be made kings and queens overnight, so to speak. I recall when Norma Jean to get her first contract, she had to be single. They didn't want a married person in there. They didn't want her to get pregnant. Today, they don't care whether they get pregnant or not, I guess. They don't even care if they're married.
I could have taken care of her, and she wouldn't have had this problem. I could have been her friend. I would never let her get this way. I would have taken care of her.
Grauman's Chinese. Boy, if these walls could talk. I've been gone for about a year, and I came back from overseas, and Norma Jean and I came to a movie here. And we're sitting down there near the front end of the thing, and we're kind of cuddling and kissing. And this old gal behind us keeps batting the back of our chair. And finally, Norma Jean turned around and said to her, "Look, my husband's been gone for a year. And if I want to kiss him and cuddle him, I'm going to. And then about that time, the movie started, and there was Robert Mitchum up there. He's a commander of an aircraft carrier. He went from Lockheed assembly line to a commander of an aircraft carrier in 1 year. And I told Norma Jean, I said, I know that guy. I worked with him at Lockheed, for God's sake. And she just kind of giggled. Can you imagine that? And later they made a movie together, for God's sake.
The Indians call it the River of No Return. From here on, you'll find out why.
All right, lie down. On your face. Come on, come on.
Marilyn worked very hard. I would go home after a day's work, and I was exhausted, and I wanted to go home and spend it with my family and eat dinner and relax for a few hours. She'd go and work with her coach until, midnight sometimes, and then turn around and come back in the next morning. I don't know how she did it. Everybody wanted to help her because she was a very sweet, sensitive, super sensitive girl. In fact, she got her feelings hurt a lot of times when she really didn't have to because she was so sensitive. To me, it was just a wonderful combination. Here was a little helpless blonde who was doing all the, collecting diamonds, and the dame that didn't care about diamonds at all, but would rather have a real love life. It was a good combination, and I knew that.
We're just two little girls from Little Rock. We lived on the wrong side of the track.
But Little Rock or Square Rock, these gals must have their rotten diamonds are a girl's teddy bear. Yes, it was a great book. Greater as a Broadway stage hit, and even more gorgeous, glittering, and hilarious on the screen. With Marilyn Monroe as Lorelei Lee, the world's most fabulous gold-digging blonde.
I just love finding new places to wear diamonds.
And Jane Russell as Dorothy Shaw, the world's most talked-about brunette.
Mr. Edmund and I are going to be married.
To each other? Of course to each other. Who else to? Well, I don't know about you guys. I always sort of figured Lorelei would end up with the Secretary of the Treasury.
Grow cold as girls grow old, and we all lose our charm in the end. But square cut or pear shape, these rocks don't lose their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Diamonds are a
I recall when I was a young officer on the LAPD, I was sent here at the premiere of The Asphalt Jungle, and I was down here to direct traffic. And I kept thinking maybe Norma Jean would drive by, but she was sick. She never showed up, never saw her.
Marilyn Monroe as Angela, the easy-living, green-eyed blonde.
Haven't you bothered me enough, you big banana head? Just try breaking my door, and Mr. Emmett will throw you out of the house.
James Whitmore as Gus, the strong-arm boy. A right guy in a wrong world.
I haven't seen Bob since we worked at Lockheed, and that must have been 43.
42.
42, and I think it was about
42 or 3.
Yeah, it was right in there. And I think I saw you at the that nightclub in the 44, 43, 44.
Yeah.
You didn't you have that boxer? Was he boxing? Weren't you his manager, owner, or something? Oh, he was beat up pretty bad. No. You were just nursing him. You and Bob was taking care of him. He looked like he'd lost that night. That boxer did, poor guy.
Wasn't Art Aragon, was it?
Oh, Golden Boy?
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh, we got some good boxers out
50
there.
years.
Huh?
That's 50 years.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
Think about that.
How about them apples?
Yeah, it's quite a while. I know it isn't that long because I'm not that old.
Small world apartment.
Yeah,
sure is.
really.
It sure
Really.
is. Well, I've thought about this so many times, and I've always wanted to get to see. I wrote you a letter one time,
Yeah.
but I never got it. Did you get it?
Yep.
Why the hell didn't you answer?
He never answers letters.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
But if you cross Jane, you'd be in trouble. Where if you cross Norma Jean, she'd just feel sad.
Yeah, she'd cry.
Yeah. And that was the difference between the two.
She did not understand how to come back.
That's right. You didn't know.
I had 4 brothers.
That's what I know. I've got to say that
But
you 4 brothers raised you properly.
Norma Jean, suffered a lot of wounds that she forgave because she never really realized that she had been wounded. She was betrayed, if you will, by people whom she trusted.
Right.
And she still continued to trust them and to support them. And that was it. People took enormous advantage of her innate generosity and used her up. Honestly, you know that.
Yep.
I remember one night when you were working together, what was it, a Fox, wasn't it?
Yep.
And I had a dressing room around the corner. It had been Greg Peck's dressing room. And it was all done in sort of early American furniture and stuff like that. My secretary came in, she said, you better get rid of that stuff because there's not going to be anybody in here but grips and juicers, And they'll sit on that stuff and break it. Just get
Ruin it.
Yeah, get a big plank table here and a usable bar and not non-fragile glasses. So anyway, I come off the set and she's in the dressing room and through the louvers, she's whispering, Bob, can I talk to Gwen? And they didn't want to use her voice on whatever it was on some song. Anyway, so she played me this acetate test record, and I said, "That's a so-and-so arrangement, isn't it?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, it's got too much brass in it, and what you need is an instrument which gives you confidence, which carries the tonic melody." So that you can follow it, so that you're always reassured, because she was not too sure of herself. She had a very sweet voice, very small but very sweet and absolutely true voice. So I said, I think the wood clarinet probably, will carry you through. So have them rearrange it, so that you have a tonic reference all the way through the number. And so she's writing all this down, and she did it, as a matter of fact, and they, did it. So she said, would you like a drink? And I said, yeah. I said, as a matter of fact, I was just on my way around. So she brings out a glass, and she puts some gin in it, and she puts some scotch in it. She puts some vodka in it. I said, what the hell are you doing? She said, well, this is a cocktail, isn't it? Isn't that how you make a cocktail? I said, forget it, honey. I'll check you later. Oh, no. So a couple of times later, this is when she lived on Dougherty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so she invite me and my stand-in, Tim Wallace, over for dinner. And I said, honey, if you cook like at that bar, I said, I got a pass. But she was totally, sincere and innocent about it. She said, isn't that how you make a cocktail? She's putting all this booze and mixed up in a... I said, I got to pass this.
Did you teach her that?
She mixed my brother and I and my brother's girlfriend 3 drinks with 1/5. And she thought that's the way you did it.
Yeah?
And I said, it's nice of you to be even, you know, everybody got an equal amount, but that's too much.
Boy. She was going to cook. Oh, no,
She was a good cook.
I'm sure.
She was a good cook. She, her favorite dish, not because she liked to eat it, was to put a steak, peas, and carrots, because she liked the color.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I remember.
She
Yeah,
liked the color.
yeah.
But she could make lemon pies, but she had the cookbook out. She followed it right down like she was making a blueprint. And
But she
was
got,
good.
you know,
Well, I'm glad that happened for her.
you know,
I made a lemon pie and put the knife in it, and it all ran right back together. I've never cooked since.
You didn't use the same book, that's all.
But they used to. They have a word now for this condition. You know, she used to get up in the morning, and she had a hairdresser up on Sunset Boulevard. An early appointment with a hairdresser, like 7 o'clock or something like that. So she'd go up there, and then she'd come back and stop in her apartment, and then she'd start to panic. You know, then she'd start to panic, and she couldn't go out. You know, and there's a name for this now. You know, but she was just terrified of meeting people and being judged. I mean, you know.
She just was in the wrong business.
She was very shy. You know, she was enormously shy.
Tough, hard working.
One final question remains unanswered. Who was Marilyn Monroe's real father? Was she Norma Jean Mortensen or Norma Jean Baker?
Neither Mortensen or Baker was the father. I think Baker was one of the husbands that Gladys was married to, and I think Mortensen was another that she was married to. And Baker was the one that was most possibly could have been her father, but he wasn't. And so she used Baker most of the time.
She asked Ethel Dougherty, Jimmy's mother, to tell her about her father, sent the picture she had of him, which she had shown me so long before, and I did keep it a total secret. I never mentioned it to her. She wrote Grace a letter thanking her for telling Mom, Mrs. Dougherty, and having her tell her, and she hoped that she would be able to see her father. She loved the picture. So.
She called him. We were over there at that little house on Hermitage when she made the phone call one night, and she got him on the phone, and he wouldn't recognize her. She was very hurt very bad. So she took a lot of TLC that night, just, you know, comforting, holding, cuddling, and she'd come out all right. She's a good girl, real good girl.